Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. So we started off this class, Swamiji talked about two types of bhakti, two types of devotion. One is called Sakam Bhakti and the other one is Nishkam Bhakti. Sakam Bhakti, or meaning Sa means with, Sakam, Kam means desire. Any type of devotion that you have, or you do any seva, you do simran, you do any type of arpana or devotion towards an isht, if you have a desire in mind while you do that bhakti, that desire will come true eventually. But it actually won't help you overcome desire itself. If you keep a desire and you do devotion, you'll get the fruit of the desire, but you won't overcome the futility of desiring itself. To overcome this process of desiring and getting, then being sad, then desiring again, then getting it, then being sad, then desire, this cycle, to get over it, you must do devotion without a desire. And what that helps you do is it allows for mental purification to happen. Actually, Nishkam Bhakti is a state when a person has reached natural vairagya, has come within them through vivek. So we talked about the 4 types of prerequisites to Brahm Gyan. When a person becomes viveki enough and they realize the futility of desiring, getting, then being upset with it because it didn't really turn out to be what you wanted it to be, then switching again and then desiring and then getting it and then being upset, working so hard to get it, but then it not turning out to be what you wanted. This cycle, when a person starts to realize it's not switching my desires is not helping me. I desire one thing and get upset and then I switch because I want to feel good again. That's not helping me. The futility is in desiring itself. It's not the type of desire that's upsetting. It's the act of desiring that is upsetting. And so when a person starts to realize that no type of joy that comes from the world, it doesn't come without its own faults. There's so many faults hidden inside, on the other side of a desire, that now I'm realizing it and I see the futility of desiring. And then a person becomes nishkam. Then they say, I'm so satisfied with my current moment. I'm not living for something to happen tomorrow. I'm living just for now. And my devotion and my surrender and my bhakti is happening for the sake of the devotion, not because I want anything. And so this is Nishkam Bhakti, and it helps you then purify the mind even more. And then Vaheguru's darshan, the merger with that one cosmic consciousness, happens when the devotion becomes Nishkam, or without desire. Then Swamiji continued with the prasang in Sidh Gosht. The yogis are going to ask a few questions. The Siddhs are going to ask a few questions. They're going to tell Guru Nanak Dev Ji about how they go about finding the truth, but the fact that it isn't working, and they want to know how Guru Nanak Dev Ji goes about finding the truth. So the Siddhs say, Hati bati rahe nirale, rukh birkh udyane. Hati means a store or a hut. Bhakti means pathways, like roads and things like that. The Siddhs are saying we stay away from these things. We don't go where there's lots of people. We don't make our own houses. We're always walking around. We don't have a permanent place to stay. We don't go near the roads either, because then there's people there. There's all of that. So we stay away from the general world. And we stay where there are small plants, rukh, or there's big plants like trees, birk, udyane, like the jungle. We remain in places where there aren't very many people. Kand mool aharo khaiye audhu bole gyane. And for our food, we eat things that like roots and tubers. Kand means these round things that come out of the earth. So like potatoes, sweet potatoes. Or we'll eat mool, something that like carrots, they come from the earth. I don't know how you say mooli, but Radish comes from the earth. They eat things like this. Audhu bole gyane. But the Loharipa, the one that's asking, he's saying that even though we do this stuff, we try to stay in sannyas, our minds aren't settling, and we haven't found gyan yet. But they continue to, so then they ask Audhu, because they called Guru Nanak Dev Ji Audhu, the last class we talked about that Shabad. So they're saying, Audhu bole gyane, tell us about your gyan, tell us about Tatya. And then they say, continue to say, we also Tirat nahi, we go to Tirats, Tirat nahi sukh phal paiye, mail na lagya kai. Gorakhput Loharipa bole jog jugat bidasai. We go to Tirats, and the thing about going to these places of worship where there's bodies of water and you take a bath, there's two ways of doing this, and this is where Swamiji started off today's discussion. If you go to a Tirat, for example, Amritsar Sahib, where the Golden Temple, Darbar Sahib, Harmandir Sahib, whatever you want to call it, that place has a body of water surrounding it, so it's a Tirat. If you go there without any desire, you take a bath, you listen to the Kirtan, you do seva there, and the entire time you remember your Guru, then your mind will be purified. It will help in the purification process. The environment around a Tirat is usually very, the energy is upsurging. It will help your own energies go up. It will, when you see other people on this pathway, it strikes, it invigorates you and it pushes you, it increases your drive to continue down this pathway. So that's fine. But there are many people who believe that if you go to 68 different types of tirats or bodies of water or pilgrimages or hajjs or whatever, that they will get into heaven, and then after that they will get, beautiful girls or boys there, beautiful houses, it'll be a painless world, everything will come to you. They believe that in the afterlife you'll go to a really nice place, and different people will have different ideas of this very nice place in the afterlife. But the point is, they don't want mukti here, they want to go somewhere after death. If you have that type of desire and you go to the tirats, then that type of desire will get fulfilled, right? You'll have a good afterlife. Maybe your desire is to become powerful or to become a king. You'll get that. But the problem with heaven, or the problem, again, the futility of desiring, is that when you go to heaven, or when you go to a good afterlife, or you get a nice life after this one, right? Afterlife, it's only going to last as much as how many punya you have, how many good deeds, or how many, whatever the money you have in your bank account. It's like you have a lot of money, I don't know, $10,000, and you go to a 5-star hotel and everybody treats you great. You have the presidential suite, all of the servants, they're always on standby, they'll get you anything you want. You have the best utilities and facilities at your service. But as soon as your bank account reaches zero, nobody is serving you, and you're rather going to get kicked out of the hotel. So heaven, or having a good afterlife, or wanting to become very powerful, or wanting to have certain things in your life, they're going to only last as long as your pun allow them to last. After that, you'll have to start again. Krishna talks about this in the Gita as well. Tetam bhuktva swargalokam vishalam kshine punya martya lokam vishanti. They say that when you go to heaven and you enjoy, in heaven basically you enjoy sense pleasures, right? All the pleasures that you get through the senses. But then the problem is, as soon as your punya get ksheen, or their punya are finished, you have to come back to the mortal realm and start to earn again. Right, so that's the futility of desires. They don't last forever. They may not turn out the way you wanted it, and you'll get tired of it, and you'll have to come back and do it all over again. So if you're doing this, it's true that your mind will get purified if you do all of these devotive services without any desire. If you've come to the point in your life where you realize desiring is useless and it never makes me happy, there is merely one other direction that I haven't tried. I've tried the outward direction many times. I've desired, I've gotten, and then I've been upset with what I got because it changed. I've also had conditions where I desired and I didn't get what I wanted, so I got angry about it, and that anger started to ruin my life. I've always tried this outward direction to find happiness, but it didn't happen. Look back on your life and see how many times you made the decision to find happiness on the outside using a desire, and it didn't happen. So don't think that in the future it's gonna happen. It's futile. The Jigyasu then comes to the conclusion that I have one direction that I didn't try yet. And that direction is, who was the thing that was wanting the peace in the first place? What thing within me is so attracted to Anand, to peace, to joy? What wants it? Where is it coming from? I need to search myself. That's the only direction I haven't looked, and it's the direction that I want to search now. And in that direction, there's no desire. It's a let go, and the devotive processes then will start to purify the opacities within you, so that you can start to clearly see where the actual ocean of peace and joy and happiness and energetic vigor actually is within you, not on the outside. Then, where do we go? Gorakhput Loharipa Bole. Gorakhput here means that one of the disciples of Gorakhnath, Gorakhnath is the leader of the Nath Sampradaya, if you want to call it that, and Loharipa is one of their disciples. He's asking, Jog Jugat Bidasai, Hey Guru Nanak Dev Ji, Hey Audhu, tell us, in your perspective, what exactly is yoga? What exactly is jog? What exactly is merger with God? And here, before Swamiji began the next part of, or the answers part of the Shabad, they talked about a Shabad that Guru Gobind Singh Ji recites in their Shabad Hajare, and that is, Re man ehibit jog kamao. Guru Gobind Singh Ji is saying, hey mind, this is how you earn yoga. This is how you earn jog. Singhi sach akapat kanthala dhyan biput chadao. Swamiji focused in on akapat kanthala, that your mind has to be akapat. Check inside of your mind. Is it doing something to deceive somebody, to do fraud with someone? Is it trying to plan something out so that it can earn revenge or hurt somebody else? Is your mind something else on the inside and something else on the outside? Check these things. These are all entered in akapat. They're all entered in kapat. And what Guru Gobind Singh Ji is saying you need is to become akapat, meaning become on the inside, outside the same, and stop having fraud-like or deceptive tendencies or hurtful, damaging tendencies towards other people. Dhyan vibhut chadao, and remain in dhyan. You are seekers, and one of the qualities of a seeker is that they have a guru. You have come to the guru, you understand the upadesh, the techniques that the guru wants you to use, then go and use those meditative techniques all the time. Remain in the dhyan that the guru has told you, and that main dhyan is this, that I am not the body, mind, or senses. I am me Atma, I am Brahma Sarup. I am Satya, I am Chetan, I am Anand, and I am absolutely free. That is actually my real form. Remain in this dhyan. Atam Upadesh pe sanjam ko. Keep this Atam Upadesh that your guru has given with you all the time. Make this your bana. Make this your outward appearance, if you want to call it, to the yogi. Jap so ajapa jape. And the type of what you're going to say, do ajapa jap. Jap has 4 stages. Swamiji talked about the first stage, which is Bakri. Bakri means that you're speaking, if you're doing a mantra focused meditation, then it means that you are saying the mantra out loud, right? You're using your tongue, you're moving your mouth, and you're able to hear your own sound, your own voice. And at the beginning, sometimes it's helpful to keep a photo or some type of form of your isht with you. So if your isht is, like, for example, Swamiji is your isht, then to have their form in front of you or within your mind, remembering the upadesh that they gave you. If your isht is Guru Nanak Dev Ji, then having theirs. If your isht is Krishna, if your isht is Ashtavakar, having a little bit of them, their form with you, it helps you, get that beginning attachment. Then slowly, you do Bakri for a long time. Then Madhima, the second stage, where you speak in a lower volume and your general composition is more relaxed. Vaheguru, Vaheguru, Ram, Ram. So you're beyond the form now, and the upadesh of the Guru or the upadesh of your isht is now predominant. The isht or your Guru is saying to then focus in on what Atma is, that Atma is Brahm. Then even in Madhima, your jap starts to focus in on what actually within you is Brahm. Your Chetana, your consciousness, it starts to move in that direction. After you do Madhima for a while, you'll reach the third stage, which is called Pasyanti. Pasyanti is made out of the base Sanskrit word Pasyan. Pasyan means to see. For example, it comes in Guru Granth Sahib Ji, Kad Pasi Didar. Pasi there stands to mean to see. Pasyanti means that you have gotten to the stage where you are merely watching now. You are not actually actively involved in the job. Here, the job loses its sound quality. It's not really, it doesn't have a form to it anymore. And it's merged in with a breath. Breathing in, there's a bhavana of a vahe, and breathing out, there's a bhavana of Guru. There's other ajapa jap mantras. There are certain mantras that are specifically for Pasyanti. For example, the Sohang mantra, it's less for Bakri and Madhima, it's more for Pasyanti. And Sohang, you do this bhavana, that's so hung. So you breathe in so and you breathe out hung. You do it in one direction, so hung, so hung. You don't say the actual mantra, but you know the meaning of the mantra. So means Brahm, hung means me, Atma. So hung, Brahm is me. Brahm is me. But it's not, you have to take the meaning, the bhavana, and attach it with the breath. Then you switch it. Hung, so. Hung, so. And that switches the statement or the meaning, which is, I am Brahm. I am Brahm. So you do it both ways. Brahm is me. I am Brahm. And you put this on the breath. You do it with the breath, with the bhavana of the breath. In higher states of Pasyanti, you even lose this and it becomes merely just watching. And as you retreat more and more inwards, the fourth stage is Para. And Para is not really considered jap at all. It's an absolute stillness, an absolute drowning, where the wave merges with the ocean. The Bhagat becomes Bhagwan. The devotee becomes God. What started off as Vaheguru, Vaheguru, you trying to get understanding what Vaheguru was or calling out to them, in Para, you become the thing that you called out to, right? You become the Nami. And so the Nam is not required anymore. The indicator is not required anymore. You are in that absolute stillness. Maluk Das Apagat says, Sumiran mera hari kare main payo visram. He's saying that I've come to such a stage the Simran is happening so far away, it's so far out. I'm sitting in a place of complete stillness. Sumiran mera hari kare main payo bisram. He's saying I'm sitting at the seat. I'm sitting as God. And any type of effort, any type of movement, any type of sound is happening very far away from me. It's so outside, it's so at the periphery. I'm sitting at the center. At the center. Then Guru Nanak Dev Ji answers the questions that the yogis asked earlier. The answers are, the way that Swamiji's given the answers, they've taken certain parts of the Panktiyan and given like a technique, different techniques and what should be done so that we can meet God. So first technique is Khandit Nindra. Number 1, break the sleep of attachment. You need to wake up. Anything that you're attached to, whether it's relatives, people in your house, whether it's money, whether it's fame or attention, maybe it's your status, maybe it's your career, whatever it is that you're attached to, you need to start to wake up from it and realize that this attachment is false. Why is it false? Because at death, it's going to get taken away. And if there's something that death can take away from you, it wasn't yours to begin with. You were just pretending it's yours through an illusion. So wake up from this attachment. How do we do this? Live in awareness, Sakshi Bhav. Always remember that I am a mere watcher. I am not involved in anything. Sarvnivasi, mere watcher, Sada Alepa, but uninvolved. Then how do we do this? For example, one of the techniques is, here's a pencil. I can watch the pencil. I know the pencil, but the pencil does not know me. Whatever you watch, always look at it and say, I know it, but it does not know me. Then come inwards. The body, I know the body, but the body does not know me. I know the breathing, but the breathing does not know me. And even your thoughts, I know the thoughts, but the thought does not know me. Any thought that comes in your head, I know this thought, but this thought does not know me. And as you keep practicing this, you'll come to a state where you'll start to feel detachment. To get this going, however, sit in meditation and watch your breath. The breath watching meditation, Swamiji really emphasizes on this because it really starts to get that Sakshi Bhav, that alertness on within you. Who is watching? When you're watching your breath, every now and then ask who is watching. That primal watcher is God. And then do namaskar to that primal watcher, that primal knower. So that is Khandit Nindra. Next one is Nanak Tat Bicharo. Nanak, the word means without anak. There's a few definitions for this. It means not many. It also means without ego. Here Swamiji told us a sakhi about when Bhai Lehna Ji came to Guru Nanak Dev Ji the first time. Bhai Lehna Ji didn't know what Guru Nanak Dev Ji looked like. So as Bhai Lehna was traveling on their horse, there was a man who was farming on the side. And he just asked, hey, I'm looking for Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Do you know where I can find them? Can you lead me to them at least? And the person who was farming said, yes, I know where they are. Come follow me. I'll take you to them. So this person was walking in front of the horse and Bhai Lehna Ji was on the horse walking towards. And then eventually when they got to the house of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, the person said, here, why don't you tie up your horse around the tree? And when you walk inside, you'll see Guru Nanak Dev Ji. So Bhai Lehna Ji tied up their horse, and when they walked inside the building, they saw that same person who was farming. That same person was sitting on the throne of the Guru. That same person was Guru Nanak Dev Ji. And they had this complete, the melting of the heart. You can say their heart just melted away. And they went to their feet and said, I sat on a horse this entire time and you were walking in front of me. You were the guru this entire time. It doesn't make sense. It wasn't good for me to be on top of a horse and you walking. And then Guru Nanak Dev Ji laughs and they say, what's your name? And they say, my name is Lan. And then Guru Nanak Dev Ji says, well, the person who Lan Aya Jada, the person who comes to take is always bigger than the one that has to give. And thus began the journey of Guru Nanak Dev Ji and Bhai Lehna Ji. So Nanak in general is a reference to Paramatma, even the actual name. Nanak Tat Bicharo. Tat Bicharo, if you would like to meet Paramatma, Nanak, do contemplation of Satya, the watcher, Tat Bicharo. Hamesha Tattinu Vicharna. What is actually true and what is, think about it this way, what can death not take away from you? That is Tat. And that is your very deep core self never dies. In fact, one of the reasons you keep thinking that you're never going to die is because you have experience of not dying. You know how we always say a person never understands their mortality? We're saying that so that you can understand that the body is going to get taken away. However, the very deep-rooted reason why you don't think that you're going to die, even though you see other people dying, is because you have the experience of not dying. Every time you leave a body, you have this experience, oh, I wasn't the body at all. But because there is such a realm of desires that you put up while you were inside of a body, those desires push you into another body. And then you embody again. And for the desire to come true, that one experience you had at death gets erased. All of your previous attachments to your mother, father, all get erased, and you start to form a new attachment. Keep in mind, even at death, attachment itself does not go away. What the attachment was targeting changes. So for example, if you're constantly attached to your children in this life, and even at death, you don't overcome this. In your next life, the faces will change, but that attachment that you practiced in your previous life will still be there. But at death, you have this experience that you never die. That's why even here, Tatya, what doesn't die? What doesn't change? Do contemplation of that, Tat Bicharo, then you can meet God. Here, Swamiji talked about the very deep subconscious mind, which we call Gehra Achetan Man. The very, very deep, the deepest parts of the mind are where God's will plays out. God is direct. In a very, very deep subconscious mind, God plays directly, very direct with God. There is a Sakhi of Jayadev Ji. Jayadev Ji's pada comes in Guru Granth Sahib Ji. If any of you guys have done Santhya before, you know that the Santhya teacher makes you practice that pada so much because it's a Mengi Bani wala pada. So that pada, Jayadev Ji's Bani. Jayadev Ji was a poet who wrote his poetry called Gobind Geet. And one day he was sitting and he couldn't write the very last line. Typically, you'll have experienced this yourselves. You'll be very good, very good, very good. And then one day, the thing that was so natural to you, you can't do it anymore because you're overthinking, you're too in your head. It happens to sports athletes, it happens to musicians, anybody who's in the field of talents. Like they're doing so well, it's so natural, they've practiced it so much, and then one day they can't do it because they're overthinking, they're too in their head, their mind is too restless, something is up with the mind. So Jayadev Ji couldn't write that last line. And so their wife says, listen, why don't you just sleep on it? And then the next day when you're fresh and you're rested and you're not restless, you can go back to writing. He said, you know what, that's a good idea. I'm just gonna sleep on this. So he leaves his room, goes to his room and goes to sleep. The wife sees at nighttime, Jayadev Ji's getting up again. The wife said, I just told him to go to sleep and he's up again. He goes to his room and then he comes back out of his room and then he goes to sleep again. And the wife watches, this is strange. He just got up, went to his room, and came back and went to sleep again. But okay, at least he's sleeping. The next morning, when Jayadevji wakes up, he goes to his room and he's screaming. He's like, who wrote this line? And what he sees is there's that very last line that he couldn't write. It's written in golden letters. And he's thinking, who wrote this? And the wife said, it was you. I saw it with my own eyes. After I told you to go to sleep, a little while later, you got up again in the nighttime. You went in your room, wrote stuff down, and then you came back and slept. And Jayadevji says, it was me? And then he realizes this thing of the very deep-seated, behind all of the restlessness, behind all of the impressions, God plays directly. And the one that actually got up at nighttime, went into the room and wrote down that final line wasn't Jayadev as he knew himself. That was God. His very deepest core was functioning at that time, wrote the line, and went back to sleep. And when he woke up in the morning, he became so ecstatic about this. He was so overwhelmed and overcome with this that he ended up going back into that same state again, that state where he was God. And when he goes back into that state, he sees himself, he sees that same Brahm interwoven in everything. He touches the leaves and he like hugs them. He touches the flowers. He sees his own poetry, his own isharas, his own indications of God written everywhere. And you can actually read about that in the Shabad Paramad Purkh Manopimang Sat Aad Pavratan. So that's an indication of that deep, behind everything, God functions directly. And how do you get to that deep state? Tat bichar, right? That's where the story started. I'm always contemplating satya, contemplating exactly what is behind the mind. How do I get there? What watches but is never watched itself? What stays still when everything else moves? These types of vichars will start to get you into that deep subconscious layer. Alap aharang. Alap aharang means to eat little. Swamiji talked about 5 things that every jigyasu needs. Kak cheshta, vigilance. Vigilant like a crow, that when the guru is speaking, your full attention is towards them. Bhago dhyanam, like a heron in water, it stands on one foot very still, that your concentration needs to be very still and one focused. Swan nindra, your sleep has to be like a dog, meaning you're getting enough of it so that your body is healthy, but otherwise you're fully awake, right? Like a dog, it looks like it's sleeping, but as soon as it hears a sound, it gets up and moves. So that's how your sleep needs to be. Alap aharang, your ahar or your food needs to be little, enough to keep your body healthy, but not too much that it starts to make you fall asleep or makes you unhealthy. Grihityagi, and for some time, some block of your life, you need to remain in solitude. I know that people will tell you that you can meet God in Grihasti because the Gurus did it, but you cannot copy the Grihasti that the Guru showed. Tell me one pair, one wife and husband that lives like Guru Nanak Dev Ji and Mata Sulakhani Ji. One wife that doesn't complain when her husband leaves the house 12 years at a time. Give me one wife or one husband pair that lives like Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji, where the wife does not say anything for 26 years and every day does the same thing. Make food, wash the utensils, wash the clothes, give back the clothes, and say nothing. And for 26 years, a husband who doesn't even realize that they have a wife and stays in that kind of state. Or twist it. Show me one husband who supports a wife sitting in a cave for 26 years and just does seva. Show me one pair of a wife and husband who lives like Guru Gobind Singh Ji and their wives. There is no comparison. But what does need to happen is either you two figure out how to live together in solitude, or you let the other person go for a block of time to remain in solitude. There is no other way around it. If you use grihasti as an excuse to also keep enjoying, desiring, getting the desires, enjoying the attention that your relatives give you because your house is big or your car is nice, your clothes are nice, wow, what brands you have. But at the same time, Waheguru, 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 you're half doing it right and you're half not doing it right. And because of the half that you're not doing right, you're not making progress. The truth is, you do need a block of time in your life where you live in complete solitude. That is a requirement for enlightenment to happen. And then the second one is Parkar Chitna Dolai. Don't start to see others and then make your mind restless. You have to understand this thing. If you've chosen this pathway where you're seeking and you're going inward so that you can recognize the self and come to an ocean of permanent peace, not a temporary peace. If you're choosing this pathway, you have to realize that not everybody around you is choosing this pathway. There are people around you that don't want this. So they're going to be ambitious. They're going to want to have nicer and bigger houses, more money, better cars, better clothes, more attention, more status, because that is their natural way, that those are the things that they want. That's what they're desiring. It's different from your life. You've chosen something else. You've already done all of that and it hasn't made you happy. So you're trying something else. Don't look at other people, then start to think, oh, don't start to get too dubida about this, two ways about this. Don't get doubtful. Know the pathway you've taken, don't change direction, and understand that that's the pathway they've taken. Let them be successful and let me be successful. My pathway is inwards, their pathway is outwards. Both of us want success. I've decided that I don't like the type of success, that temporary success I get from the outside, so I'm trying something different. I'm not going to waver. This is my pathway. That is their pathway, period. Parkar Chitna Dolai. And then number 5, I think, Bin Nave Man Tek Na Tekai Nanak Bhukh Na Jai. Without abhyas or meditative practice and without vairag, your mind is not going to stay still enough for you to recognize yourself. And this constant attraction of the world is not going to go away unless you start to make real progress on the inside. So establish meditative practice, establish Brahmakar Vritti, bin nave manatek natikai. Do jap of the mantra that you have love for, and then use that mantra as the insider to the self, to the Nami. Use the Nam to get you to the Nami, and you know what the Nami is now. We're doing second class on it now. And then stay in that state in a continuous way. This is called Brahmakar Vritti. Brahmakar Vritti, or you can call it a continuous attention to Brahm. Continuously focused or attentive of Brahm. Not Brahm as an object, but Brahm as the consciousness, as the watcher. Hati bati neend na aave. Now, Guru Nanak Dev Ji is explaining exactly what this consciousness is like. Hati, here they're saying, Guru Nanak Dev Ji is saying it doesn't really matter if you stay away from stores or you stay away from roads. Actually, where you need to stay awake is here. Hati means your mind. Bhati means your senses. Hati is the store. Bhati, or the roads, are your indriya, your senses. Check, neend na aave. What within these things is not sleeping? What is not switching off? Even if the hati, mind, or the bhati, the indriya, the senses, even if they switch off, what doesn't switch off? And what's inside of them that is always on? Check. Inside of the mind, inside of the seeing, inside of the hearing, inside of the touch, inside of the tasting, inside of the walking, inside of the talking, inside the movement of the hands. There is a consciousness and awareness that is allowing all of these things to happen. Hearing is happening. Yes, you need the ears, you need the sound to be produced, you need the mechanical airwaves to get to your eardrums, you need all of that. That's great. You need the brain waves to function. But what's a more primal thing that is even allowing this interaction of sound and hearing to happen? It is consciousness. It is a wakefulness that is allowing this to happen. There's a wakefulness that is allowing walking to happen. Then check what my ears hear, the sound. I know the sound, but the sound does not know me. When you see something, whatever form you're looking at, I know the form, but the form does not know me. I know the walking, but the movement does not know me. I know the taste, but the taste does not know me. There is a more primal consciousness that is intertwined, something that is always on, neend na aave, inside of your hati and bati. So what do? Always conscious of this primal consciousness, whether you're using your senses or whether you're watching your thoughts. Be aware and on there. Hat patan kar guru dikhaya. Then what will happen? Within the city of the body, this whole body is a city, and there is a special building. That special building is the mind heart that you want to call it. And then when you go past this building, you'll see that your house is right there. Kar dikhaya. Hat patan kar guru dikhaya. Your guru will show you that within this body, inside of the mind, is where your true home is. And how do you get to that true home? Through the guru's kirpa. The guru is the one that shows you that who you are looking for is you. The God that you have been searching for is you. Tattvamasi. You are that. You are that. That you are. Tattvamasi. The Guru tells you that you are not the body, you are not the mind, you are not the senses, intellect. You are Satya, you are Chetan, you are Anand, you are Vyapak, you are absolutely, continuously emancipated. You are Brahm. And Sahaje Sachvaparo. This realization that the Guru gives you, it happens so naturally, easily. All of the effort is to clean away the mind, is to finally surrender to the Guru in the first place. We think surrender is easy. It is. When you get tested in your surrender, then you realize that's where my surrender was lacking. Then you fix that. But at the very end of it, after you try so many different things, you try so many meditations, try so much stuff, you're just tired of it. Like, what the heck do I even do? And the Guru tells you, Samarpan. There is something inside of you that still needs to surrender. Full surrender to the Guru, and Atam Gyan happens so easily, so naturally, without effort. Actually, the realization of the self happens so unexpectedly. It happens and you're like, I didn't even expect it to happen at that time. And it only happens when you have full devotion and surrender to the one that you call your Guru. You must have that surrender. And this is the pathway of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Multiple times in Guru Granth Sahib Ji, they have mentioned this requirement of surrendering to your Guru. And this is the pathway that Guru Nanak Dev Ji told to the Sidhs, that this is how you meet God. This is how it's done. Tomorrow's class, the Sidhs will be so in awe of what Guru Nanak Dev Ji said that they actually want them to join their pathway, their samprada, so that their samprada can get bigger. And so Swamiji will talk about that tomorrow. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.